All right. Good evening, everybody. Meteorologist Alex Carter with you in the Fox 54 Weather Center for this edition of Weather Aware Live. Obviously, tracking some heavy rain tonight across parts of the CSRA. Let's go ahead and get right to it. If you're listening to us, the heaviest rain is on the Georgia side of the river for this evening, anywhere from Augusta down to Sylvania, Millen, Waynesboro, Louisville, Gibson, Thompson, Grovetown, Evans, Martinez. This is all moving right over you right now. And if you're anywhere across the Augusta Metro, and this includes downtown Augusta, North Augusta, Augusta-Aiken Highway, and near Clarks Hill Lake, this flood advisory does apply to you. Let's go ahead and show you what we're talking about. This flood advisory was issued well in advance of the rain that was moving in. 10:30 into just the next hour and 30 minutes is when this flood advisory goes until. You see it there. Lots of lightning that's moving right over Grovetown, Highway 221 from Appling to Harlem, Blythe over to Keysville in Burke County, and the Bath community. Blythe as well in southwestern Richmond County. I had some reports of some heavy rain that was moving through Midville earlier from Bonnie and Paul Rainville. So thank you guys so much for sharing that. You guys have the best weather last name in the CSRA, by the way. I just wanted to mention that. And we do have a flood advisory, and this is for Aiken, Columbia, Edgefield, and Richmond counties. But let me specify, if you're in Aiken listening to us, this is not for the city of Aiken itself, at least for much of it. This is not near Whiskey Alley, anything like that. Burnett Town, North Augusta, Langley, Graniteville, up towards Exit 5, the Sweetwater community. This is where we have the flood advisory. So if you're just joining us, good evening. Thanks for tuning in to Fox 54 on digital live stream. This is another edition of Weather Aware Live, and we are tracking some of those showers and thunderstorms that are leading to flood advisories this evening. So if you are listening to us, let us know where you're listening from. We're not just going to be covering the rain tonight. We're actually going to be covering Tropical Storm Erin, which is the big story across the Atlantic Basin tonight. And that is the big story headed into the next week of weather. For us, we got a few different headlines to talk about, and that's what we're talking about on this edition of Weather Aware Live. So this is where you can kind of get the latest forecast on top of more one-on-one precise weather coverage, and it's not one size fits all. And we get to talk a little bit more in depth about what's going on across the entire area and what's kind of happening in our weather world, as we say. Let's see. So let me go ahead and edit this title because it obviously didn't do what it needed to do there with the title. There we go. There we go. That should work, I think. It says, because, we have had some Facebook Lives over the past few days, so it does have an old title on it. But if you're tracking this with us, again, we are tracking what is some of those stronger storms that are now moving into parts of the CSRA. Let's go ahead and show you kind of where that's located. Again, you're looking at the flood advisory, which encompasses the Augusta Metro, Blythe, Hepzibah, Gracewood, Grovetown, Harlem, these areas. It's all moving south to north. And we do have flood advisories as well in Jenkins and Burke County. This flood advisory does go for the western half of Jenkins County. So if you're anywhere from Midville on State Road 17 running towards Millen, that's where we're dealing with heavy rain as well. Burke County getting a lot of this rain at the moment. And if I turn this to what we've seen when it comes to rainfall, look at some of these totals that have piled up. And again, this is mostly just from today alone, but look at that. Isolated pockets of 3 to 5 inches of rain along, say, Midville and Millen there on State Road 17. This is over the last 24 hours. That is some serious totals we're talking. This is going to keep putting us ahead of the curve as we get into the fall. We try to stack up a lot of rain in August to get ahead of things, and that's what we're doing clearly the first half of this month. There's no doubt about it. So we're going to reset the board a little bit. If you're just joining us, good evening. Meteorologist Alex Carter with you in the Fox 54 Digital Weather Center for Weather Aware Live. And this is where we're tracking showers and thunderstorms that are leading to some potential flooding over the next couple of hours. And there it is. Yep, good deal. Okay, so I'm going to monitor your comments. Gina, good evening. Tiffany, good evening. Always great to hear from you guys. Turning on the comments now, so I'll be able to see any questions that you might have. But we got a lot to talk about in the weather world. And if you're just joining us, we are discussing Tropical Storm Erin as well, on top of what is a busy evening here in the Weather Center when it comes to flood advisories and things like that, because the Augusta Metro could see 1 to 3 inches of rain tonight from this batch that is currently moving in. So a pretty slow mover at this point. We're tracking it. And again, this is Weather Aware Live. I'm going to go ahead and pop this up before we really get into the meat of things. Weather Aware Live is a more interactive weather segment. So this is not something that you see all the time. I'm going to go ahead and take Saturday at noon off here so you don't think it's we don't know what day of the week it is. But Weather Aware Live is a segment where we kind of go more in-depth with the weather with you, okay? That's all we're trying to do is not give you a one-size-fits-all forecast, but we get here on Facebook, we get here on YouTube, and we're just able to kind of give you more live, in-depth weather updates and something that you don't get on the air frequently. So make sure to join us here. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is WFXG Fox 54. You can also keep it here on Facebook, and we'll keep you covered as well in my weather page. That's meteorologist Alex Carter. So, again, good evening, and thanks for joining us. Rose, Kathy, good evening. Thank you both for saying hi. I appreciate that. And let us know where you're listening from. We always love to hear your comments and kind of and track these as we're moving across the newscast here. Let's see. Make sure we turn that on. There it is. Now I'm getting some of those. Christy, Blythe, Georgia is definitely getting some of that heavy rain. Thank you for that report. If we zoom in on Blythe, you can actually see that pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We do have a flood advisory for Blythe, by the way. 1 to 3 inches of rain is possible by 10:30, and that could lead to some long-lived flash flooding into the early overnight hours. So important that you stay weather aware there. This flood advisory goes for Burke County, too. Let's zoom in closer to Blythe, and there it is. And got some lightning with these, too. Finally, some of these storms are actually forming into storms. We've been dealing with the light to steady rain for the weekend and early on this morning, but now we've got the thunderstorms this afternoon, and it's because we're finally warming up a little bit, getting more breaks in the clouds, a few more bits of sunshine. That's what's fueled the atmosphere, and tonight we are certainly feeling that. So the flood advisory goes until 10:30, and this is for Grovetown, Evans, Martinez. This includes I-20 through Columbia and Richmond counties. This includes the western corner of Aiken County, so anywhere in the valley from, say, Aiken and to North Augusta. Beach Island. This does not include New Allenton or Jackson, by the way. You actually, guys, are going to stay mostly dry tonight. You could see a few light showers, but nothing major. And it includes all the way up to Exit 6 in Aiken County, like you're going on 520 there, and up towards Clarks Hill Lake as well. So we got a pretty active picture here on radar tonight, that's for sure, and more heavy rains training in from the south. And this is why we have the flood advisory. I'm going to go ahead and take the broad view, put this into motion. Over the next 30 minutes, or over the last 30 minutes, look at the direction. It's all just moving south to north, and it's not budging too much. So as a result, it's going to be areas from Aiken and points west, mainly on the Georgia side of the river. And if you're in Edgefield County, yes, you are going to get some rain tonight. McCormick County, yes, you are going to get some rain tonight. The areas that are exempt from rain, probably going to be anywhere from Aiken eastward, and in our South Carolina, southeastern counties near the Low Country, Bamberg, Allendale, Barnwell County. These are places where I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of rain tonight. But overall, just a few sprinkles out there. Now, the biggest story is just, again, these continuous batches of rain from I-20 and points south right now. But all of that is moving in the direction of Appling, Lincolnton, Washington, Thompson, Crawfordville, up near, say, the Chenault community, McCormick, Edgefield, and, of course, Augusta. You're going to be getting some rain here very shortly. The Augusta Metro is about to get a lot of rain here over the next few hours. So if you're just joining us, good evening. Thanks for joining in, tracking these comments. Judy, good evening. Enjoying the rain here in Deering. Always good to hear. If you love a rainy night, we talk about this a lot in the forecast. It's an Eddie Rabbit alert tonight good and cozy outside. We haven't been too hot. I think we'll take that too. And that's certainly helping things out also. I'm going to be switching back and forth from some of these comments and just checking in to make sure you guys are doing well on both pages here. Thank you, Lisa, for that. Good evening, Lisa. And thank you, Florence County, South Carolina, and Florence, South Carolina. Thank you so much for that. Florence has been getting a lot of rain as well. It's really been all the two-state. Cheryl in Edgefield, good evening. You're asking if Trenton, South Carolina is okay. Yes, it is. There's no severe weather here. When it comes to the flood potential, that's going to be the greatest in the Augusta Metro and in Burke County and western Jenkins County through about 11 o'clock tonight. Lots of this heavy rain going to be settling in, and there's not going to be much of a buffer for it, at least for the next couple of hours. I think most of this gets out of the way by no later than midnight tonight. But still, it's going to be a pretty wet stretch this evening, and we're tracking it here on Weather Aware Live. So, again, Weather Aware Live is where you want to be if you want more in-depth weather coverage for your area. We can actually interact with you here and go over your questions, any concerns. So through tonight, to address the questions about tonight's weather, we are expecting these showers to be the main batch for the remainder of the evening, and then we're going to pick things back up for tomorrow. So that's what we're looking at for the rest of the evening, right here, anywhere from Swainsboro and pushing up along I-20 and points northward. So the rest of tonight looks pretty wet, and we're not going to get much of a break. Let's go into tomorrow real quick. I wanted to show you tomorrow's forecast. We're going to see a few pockets of sunshine, kind of like we saw today. Highs are going to be in the mid to upper 80s. So we're finally getting back to, I wouldn't say average temperature weather for August, but slightly below average. It's closer than we've been, I'll tell you that much. The average high is 93. We've already reached our peak average high for this time of year, 94. It's going down from this point forward. We don't got to worry about it anymore when it comes to, is it going to get hotter? Well, inevitably, the weather is going to get hotter from where we've been, but it's not going to be 100-degree heat more than likely. That could change, but it's very tough past this point to see a heat wave of that magnitude. So hopefully that is not the case, but we'll keep you posted if that begins to change. So tomorrow we're going to get more scattered showers and thunderstorms. Same old story, but a different day, right? And tomorrow morning, I don't think we see a whole lot of rain. I think we'll get some more light to moderate showers tomorrow morning, but it's not going to be a lot. Just a cloudy start. But we're going to see breaks in the clouds tomorrow. That's the important thing. If you're looking for more sunshine, that's your recipe. Early tomorrow afternoon, as we get that heating and breaks in the clouds, boom, more showers and thunderstorms. That's what's moving in, and the moisture is really picking up. We've got some muggy, soupy air moving in, but fortunately, the heat index is going to be topping out right at 100 this week, later this week. It's not going to get to 105, 110, anywhere, sweltering past that, but it is going to be pretty hot outside. Tomorrow will be warm and muggy, but we're going to get some thunderstorms, cool things down. Not everybody's going to get the rain tomorrow, but you have a fair chance of it as we head into the rest of your Tuesday. So, again, that's something we're monitoring as we head into tomorrow. Some short-lived minor flooding possible. We were talking about that earlier in the evening. Some of these areas could see that. But the flood advisory goes until 10 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, we have that chance of a couple short-lived areas of road ponding, but it's not going to be quite as a high chance as what we're seeing right now. Now let's take you to the next few days, right? Here it is. Look at that. Now, highs are getting up to the upper 80s and low 90s, so welcome back the heat a little bit. Not going to be putrid out there by any means, but it is going to start to get back to what we would consider normal levels for this time of year. Rain chances going down. That's a good thing. So, again, rain chances going down, temperatures going up in this forecast. So once we get past tomorrow, we get past the worst of the rain chances. Then we have the heat, lower rain chances, and then what's past that point? Well, as we were promising, we are going to talk about Tropical Storm Erin. And Tropical Storm Erin is coming in. This is off of what we call the WADL. If you want to know where Erin's at on this water vapor map, I'm going to point to it. it is here. Okay, so that's Erin. And, look at that. I mean, more could potentially be on the way coming off the coast of Africa. But there's Erin as it stands. It's looking a little bit healthier. It is a tropical storm, and it is moving to the west at a pretty high rate of speed. Talking about wind shear, too. So here's the high Caribbean wind shear. It's starting to let up a little bit. So Caribbean wind shear is going down, Atlantic wind shear is going down, and this is where we're at. So this is Tropical Storm Erin, okay? Erin is moving to the west at 21 miles an hour, and it is pushing to the west at a decent clip. And so it's moving across the Atlantic Basin this week. Here's the latest track, okay? So as we get that latest update, not many changes. You see it there. By the weekend, this is by the weekend, not next week, but this weekend, it is going to be just north of the Lesser Antilles. What in the world are the Lesser Antilles? Right here. That's the Lesser Antilles, those Caribbean islands. I actually got to visit St. Lucia on my honeymoon. It was a fantastic place. These areas are always in the hotbed for hurricanes. This one's going to stay to the north of it. So Martinique, St. Bart's, St. Kitts, St. Thomas, these places, staying to the north of it. But it's going to be probably a major hurricane by the weekend. And if you're just joining us, good evening. This is another edition of Weather Aware Live, and we are tracking what is some busy weather here in the Weather Center tonight. We're also tracking what is Tropical Storm Erin, because Erin is one of those systems that actually could be our first major hurricane of the season. So if you're just joining us, or you're catching the tropical part of this update, and we'll go back to the rain here in just a second. Erin is going to be a pretty potent storm, okay? So if you're just joining us, again, this is about Tropical Storm Erin. We'll be getting back to those goalie washers here in just a moment. As for where it goes from there, right, there's been a lot of question about this. There's your spaghetti model plots. We talk about it as your carbs in the weather forecast. The Azores High is going to be the big player. What is the Azores? Well, it's a little chain of islands up here. Okay, that's typically where this high pressure sits. You either get the Bermuda High, which is near St. George and Bermuda, or you get the Azores High, which is in the Azores. This is going to be the Azores High, and it's pretty strong, all right? That Azores High is what's keeping this due east on a conveyor belt, or due west on a conveyor belt across the Atlantic Basin. From there, where does it go? Well, the stronger that high pressure, the faster it will turn out to sea, okay? The weaker it is, the more of a track west it takes. But right now, every model in the house is suggesting that this is going to turn out to sea closer to Bermuda and well away from the eastern United States. And that's the good news that we have to share with you on this tropical update. I don't want you to get overly concerned. I know our storm anxiety is going to be at an all-time high, and rightfully so. We just had the worst storm in CSRA history going on a year ago. Can you believe that? It has been almost 11 whole months since Hurricane Helene hit the CSRA. Now, with this particular cell and storm, I think it's going to curve. Now, again, there's still a lot of time for change, and still lots to be ironed out with this, but we're going to keep you posted with the latest, okay? But this is nothing to worry about. You're going to see a lot on the app that you're watching us on, here, Facebook, YouTube, all of them. There's going to be these screen grabs of a major hurricane hitting our South Carolina, Georgia coastline and all the like. And that's just not the case right now. We don't think that's happening. We actually think this is going to curve out. And if you don't agree with me, well, maybe you can agree with history, because this is kind of what we look at. So this is the number of named storms per 100 years in the Atlantic and the Gulf, okay? And this is for the month of August. You see where the orange is at on this map. The orange is where the highest amount of storms has happened in the past 100 years. I'm going to go ahead and put this back. There it is. So this is where, right here, this is where the highest number of storms has happened over the past 100 years. 50 to 70 storms have happened in the month of August in that area, which takes it offshore. Most storms, historically speaking, curl in the Atlantic Basin in the month of August especially. Well, why is that? Well, usually you get the Azores High that curls it back out to sea. Bermuda always has to watch out, as well as the east coast of the U.S., but typically somewhere in the middle is usually where that happens. Now, again, this is not a guarantee, but we just don't want to alarm you and scare you half to death about what's going on out there. We just want to give you the real truth and kind of what we're seeing right now. There's still some uncertainty as where this heads past the weekend, but generally speaking, once again, confidence is that this is going to start to curl out to sea. We'll keep you posted if that changes, what that means for our forecast here in the two-state, but for now, nothing significant at this time. Meanwhile, if you're just joining in, you're catching the tropical conversation, which that's the last of it, and now we've got an update here on what is some flood advisories here in the CSRA. And let's see. Checking comments real quick. If you got anything, please let us know. We're more than happy to assist and help out. And I'm going to go back here to my other Facebook page and monitor that. Hey, Patricia. Good evening. Megan, lightning is intense in Grovetown. Lisa, thank you for that report. Lots of thunder and lightning in Evans. And that is the case still at this hour. The heaviest stripe of rain is right over Grovetown. If you're in Martinez, here at Fox 54, we're pretty much could count it down in 3, 2, 1. It's probably going to start pouring here at Fox 54 Studios. I mean, we are right on the cusp of it. Let's go ahead and zoom in on the studio. There it is. I mean, we are right on the cusp of this heavy rain. It's just starting to pour. It's really about to pour here in just about the next 10 minutes. Grovetown, Fort Gordon. We've applied for that name change in the system. It's just got to get updated if you're wondering why it still says Fort Eisenhower on there. Hepzibah, Blythe, Keysville, Waynesboro, Vidette, Rennes. I mean, my goodness, what a blanket of rain this is. And it's moving up into Appling now, northern Columbia County. Clarks Hill Lake, you're getting in on this momentarily. Norris, Norwood, Patricia, to answer your question, we are expecting some more scattered showers for the rest of the night. Your rain is just now starting up, and it's going to keep going through about midnight tonight, and then surely we will start to see a little bit of a break in this because that's your last batch. But, if you look at the overall trends, is there any back building? Not much. So this is going to be the main batch of rain tonight. But there's that flood advisory for Burke County, goes until 10 p.m., and there's the flood advisory for the Augusta Metro. So if you live anywhere from North Augusta, Blythe, Grovetown, Evans, Martinez, this goes until 10:30. If you're in North Augusta, you're like, I've seen some rain today, but this is nothing major. That's because we're anticipating this flooding to happen because all this rain's about to move in. It's going to make for a wet night here in the CSRA. So if you're joining us tonight, we are tracking some of those showers and thunderstorms out there. And some noticeable lightning. And we've seen some lightning on the tower cams as well. I'm pulling one of those up now. This is from downtown Augusta. And if it'll load, there it is. And we'll see if we can see some lightning in the distance. But I don't think we're going to see too much as we lose that daytime heating. So there we go. Hey, Zach, good evening. Zachary, no severe for Aiken. If you are driving westbound tonight from Aiken to North Augusta, there's going to be some gully washers headed your way. I think you could run into a few showers in Aiken as well, but no severe storms tonight. Megan, we're expecting it to quiet down here over the next couple of hours. Unfortunately, I know storm anxiety, thunder and lightning, heavy rain, that can keep the kids up for sure. I do expect this to start calming down a little bit more by 11 to 11:30 if you're in the Grovetown area. But it's going to take a minute. And here's the reason why. Because, if you look to the south, look at all this that's coming back in from Swainsboro, Millen, Waynesboro, Louisville. It's just a big caravan of showers tonight, and we're going to see more of it. So just keep an eyes on that. Oh, my goodness. Yep. And so Zachary has been out in Charleston. If y'all are looking at the comments, he's been in Charleston all day. I don't know if you saw the video, Zach, about the lightning strike at Mount Pleasant, some of the damage out there. There's been some noisy summer weather for the coastline and tremendous amounts of rain. We were talking about it this weekend, how the coast was going to get the brunt of this rainfall, and it has. It has just been a significant rainmaker for parts of our two-state. In fact, if I just look at the rainfall amount since yesterday, I'm curious to what we'll find on our coast. And look at that. This is just since past 24 hours. I'm going to go ahead and backtrack this for the past. This is actually the past 48. I'm going to do Let's go the 9th. Yeah, I mean, look at that. And I'm going to zoom that up. This is in the Charleston, Mount Pleasant area, things like that. 6 to 7 inches of rain. I mean, it's just been a tremendous system that's moving in. Everybody's wondering, too, like, what's causing all this rain? What's causing this wet pattern? It's actually this Gulf low. This Gulf low is the culprit for everything. And, in fact, the National Hurricane Center said, we're keeping eyes on it. We don't think it's going to turn anything tropical, and it's not. It just is running out of real estate to be able to do that. It's about to move on to land. And no, it's not a tropical system, by the way. It's just an area low pressure that's kicking up all this rain. In fact, if I zoom out and give you the more regional look at radar, you'll actually be able to find that here. There's that Gulf low, and it's right here, situated in the right in this area. There's your Gulf low, and if I just do that over the past, yeah. I mean, you can see how it's just pushing all of this onshore flow. All of it's moving onshore, and that's what's causing a lot of rain across parts of the southeast, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, the Florida Panhandle, and Peninsula. In fact, you want to look at some historic rainfall totals. Look at Florida's Gulf Coast. That's who's really gotten a lot of the rain over the past little bit. Look at these areas just offshore, about 10 inches of rain in the past 48 hours. And this is near Tampa, Fort Myers, Sanibel, Captiva. Those areas have been getting a ton of rain. And we are some of the recipients of that as well. Look at us all over the two-state. It's been pretty spot on with what we were expecting this weekend, and it keeps delivering early this week. And so we are ready to roll, that's for sure, and we're ready to get out of this pattern. So some good news if you're watching us still. Good evening, by the way, if you're just now tuning in. Highs are getting up to the 90 mark with more sunshine, more typical summertime weather. If you've been missing it, it's back, and it's a good thing, at least in my assumption. I'm a fan of the hot weather. I know that a lot of us get sick and tired of it, and rightfully so, especially the stretch that we had about 3 weeks ago was just unbearable. But 90 with a heat index near about 95, 98 degrees, that's not bad. I think the heat index does get closer to 100, though, as we get into later on this week. Zach, yeah, I mean, you're right by that area. And, yeah, people are trying to drive on the coast, and it's just not a good idea when you're seeing that much rain. And that's a good point, because the same applies to us tonight with our flood advisories in effect. Don't try to be out on the roads, and, of course, there's going to be some potted roadways tonight. Just be careful out there. If you absolutely have to be out on the roads, just try to avoid those flooded roadways. 10 to 2 at the wheel, because a lot of this rain's heavier. And we're hearing it pretty good, actually, over the studio right now. So, yeah, starting to get some of that. Gene, yep, Williston, been raining off and on all day. I think this batch is going to miss you for the most part, Gene. You're going to get a few sprinkles this evening, but that's about it. Emily, thank you for that report, Emily. Pretty consistent thunder and lightning in Grovetown. Nicole, not a fan of this weather. Right, it's looking like Seattle out there, except the rainfall rates are heavier now. And so on top of the clouds, you're also getting torrential rains. All of us have been, we were begging for rain just a couple weeks ago. Boy, what a turn it's been for this month. I mean, you talk about some of these rainfall totals this month, they mean business. August has come in a major way, and it's delivering big time with some of these rainfall totals out there. So if you're joining us tonight and you're curious as to kind of what we're doing here on Facebook Live, you're going to see us here a lot more. In fact, this is kind of the future of what's going on. We're always going to be on television. We're always going to be here on Fox 54. That's a given, okay? However, I do want to point you to some tools where you can catch us on your cell phone. One of them's here, and you've been finding us here for a while now. I know that. So that's good. Thank you for trusting us, and thank you for being here on Facebook. Also, you can find Weather Aware Live, which is what this is, which is where we track weather around the clock, and we give you updates for what's happening in the CSRA. We aren't going to be able to cut into programming in the event of just a regular rain shower like this. But when it's a tornado warning, we always will. When it's a hurricane or a tropical system, we always will be able to. Just on a regular night like this, we always want to come to you here on the digital platforms and cover weather. Facebook and YouTube, best way to find us at WFXG Fox 54. These are weather-aware live updates, and we'll be here tracking this as well here in the Fox 54 Digital Weather Center. So glad you're joining us tonight, and thanks for tuning in. We're about to be up on Fox 54 News coming up at 10 o'clock tonight. So if you are going to be joining us, good deal. We're ready for that. We'll be on the TV from 10 to 11:30 tonight. Pretty active weather, that is for sure. We've had no shortage of rain over the past several days. And I tell you what, it's picking up pretty quickly. And so rainfall is the big story even tomorrow. With the saturated soils, guess what? We could see some short-lived minor road ponding tomorrow because it's not going to take as much to cause some short-lived road ponding. So to recap what we've been talking about over the past 30 minutes, flood advisory for the Augusta Metro. This includes Blythe. This includes Boneville, Deering, Harlem, Appling, Grovetown, Evans, Martinez. Exit 5 in North Augusta near Sweetwater, Clearwater, Belvedere. Langley, Graniteville, North Augusta, Beach Island, Gracewood, Hepzibah, McBean, you're just outside of this. Jackson, you're just outside of this. Beach Island, this does include you. And Evans, Martinez, Augusta, if you're anywhere in those areas, this impacts you guys as well. 1 to 3 inches of rain. Some of this is happening now. Some of it's going to keep going up until at least 11 o'clock tonight, if not longer. So please try to stay off the roads because this flood advisory, it's probably going to get extended. I just have a feeling it will. And they currently goes until 10:30. I think it's going to get extended even further past that. We'll have much more tonight on all this rain. We're also going to have more on Tropical Storm Erin tonight. And that's coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. So if you are in for some news, we are going to be here streaming on Fox 54 News at 10 and 11. And we're excited to be there as well. Again, if you're wondering what this segment is, it is Weather Aware Live. I want you guys to subscribe to our channel on YouTube if you would like. That's where we're going to be tracking a lot of severe weather in the future. That's where we're going to be tracking severe weather as well here on Facebook. So we're going to do it on both platforms. You're also very soon to come, hopefully before our next weather event where we might need to stream. Hopefully that'll be found on Fire Stick and YouTube where you can find us streaming, okay? So I want you guys to be able to find us on those platforms. We're excited to bring weather coverage to you on these platforms. And when it comes to on air, that's not changing. You'll find us on the TV, regular channels as well. But we are expanding our platforms, and we're excited to be in on that as well. Let's see. Yep, anytime, Nicole. Appreciate that. And if you're just joining us, this is another edition of Weather Aware Live. We are streaming from the Fox 54 Digital Weather Center, and we'll keep you up to date with the very latest. But again, tonight, we're going to leave you with one last look at this before we let you go off the air. And we're going to be joining you again on Fox 54 News at 10, so you don't want to miss that. We'll be covering these showers and thunderstorms as they're happening here. So we have a flood advisory. This goes until 10:30. It will likely get extended. So if you are driving, you have to be out on the roads late tonight. If you know anybody who has to be out on the roads late tonight, tell them to please be careful. This is that type of rain that can start to pile up in areas that typically would flood in a heavy rain setup. We also have the flood advisory for both Burke and Jenkins County, the western half of Jenkins County. And that goes until 11 o'clock tonight. The main road impacted there is Highway 25 and Highway 17 in Jenkins County. So we're going to have a lot more on this once again coming up on Fox 54 News at 10 tonight. It is 9:35. And thanks so much for joining us. We'll keep you posted with the very latest regarding these flood warnings and flood advisories. But again, this goes until 10:30 this evening for the Augusta Metro. Be safe out there on the roads. Make sure to be careful. Try to avoid driving if you can, because this is definitely one of those setups that quickly piles up here. So thanks for joining in. Thanks for trusting us with our weather coverage, and we hope you have a safe evening. Stay dry tomorrow. warmer, sunnier days are ahead in this forecast, and we'll also be talking about the tropics. Have a great rest of the evening, and we'll see you very shortly, in just about 24 minutes, on Fox 54 News at 10.